Love that intro. That's such a good intro.
I so look forward to that intro every week. An outro, but I just love that. Just love that.
Gets my feet dancing.
I know. How could you not dance to that?
I mean, really.
You
I just
young
wish it was
people,
longer.
you could learn our dance moves.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta
Hi, I'm Blaine Bartlett.
bite your bottom lip when you do it. Then it's sexy.
It's sexy, yes. Yeah. And that's Doland White, the sexy white guy over there.
Here you go. And that's Blaine Bartlett. There's Blaine Bartlett. Equally as sexy. We'll keep this PG-13. So
welcome to the power of you.
Yeah.
And I've got a dog here floating down my chest here. I've got a dog that is shedding right now, and it's everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway, so what are we talking about today, sir?
We are going to start a series to talk about scaling. We one of the things that we've spent a lot. We use the word scale a lot, and scaling business. We've done it. So we're actually going to take the next 3 powers of use and spend time talking about maybe more. What the heck? We'll see how it goes. And talk about scaling. And today is Moonshot Day. So we're going to talk about moonshots today.
I mean, if you're going to scale, you may as well go big. Go big or go home.
Exactly. Suit up like you're going to be on the field. Get ready. So that's what we're in for today, is to spend some time talking about scaling. Leaders, this is really important, especially if you as you go back and review this when you're heading into 2026. The next 3 weeks are going to help you think differently.
Yep, get you set up for it, because
goodness.
Yep, because in the next 3 weeks we will be crossing the threshold into November. Which begins the holiday season. Everything kind of goes on pause for a little bit here. Gives you time to reflect and think, but you want to have some stuff already percolating so that when you cross the threshold into 2026, you can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And running towards what is what we're going to be addressing here. not away from, but towards.
Yeah. It's a Warren Buffett quote. Gosh, I try to remember it just as you said that, Blaine. It was just Warren Buffett who said you could be vigorously running towards an outcome in the wrong direction. So it's quote. I'll find it somewhere in there. Next week I'll have the quote. There you go.
Good, because it'll fit very perfectly to what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So this is the power of you, and we are rapidly approaching moonshot time here, which when we start thinking about how organizations scale, whether you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or you're actually running a business that has got some size to it, SME, small, mid-size enterprise organization, you are going to want to grow, because growing is absolutely crucial to you sticking around in the marketplace. If you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. How you grow makes a difference. And this is what these 4 mistakes begin to address.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at here. Because when Doland mentioned moonshot, that's exactly what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, let's just kind of go 10%. No. That's going to put everybody to sleep.
I love those goals. I know. Let's just do 10% more than we did this year.
Yep. That'll be easy. It'll be comfortable.
We did it before because we know how to do that.
Yep.
That's perfect.
So when we're thinking about moonshots, these 4 things come into play very strongly here. So number 1, take it away, Doctor.
Number 1, if you avoid explicit goal setting altogether. When you're, as a leader, you probably should go back through some of the powers of use, because we talk about decision making and there's a bunch of stuff that gets into this, but you avoid goal setting altogether. You look at it and you have that, and we were talking, Blaine, just hear this seconds ago, you tend to look at the goal and you go, you know what? And it's accompanied by a wine, one of my favorite wines. You know what? I think it's easy to drink. I think we can let's just do a little more. It's tough time. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So I tell you what we'll do. Let's just do 10% more.
Yeah.
And explicitity, which is a word I just created, right?
Explicity. I like that word.
Explicity diminishes because you're not, if you're thinking of a moonshot, that's it. That has a specific outcome and specific steps involved. That we're not talking about tactics, but things that have to occur in order for a moonshot to go. So you, as the leader, you avoid getting specific with the goal setting, and your team, because of that lack of well, we'll get into the symptoms after this. What happens?
Symptoms here? Yeah, symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Number 2.
Setting low and achievable goals. Now, here's where this one gets. And we've already, we bounced around this a number of times. 10% increases, whatnot. We get comfortable. The human being that I am loves comfort. I will default to comfort. The organism likes comfort, and this is true of all biological entities. Comfort is something that is kind of, the seductress. It kind of, pull the covers up a little tighter. It's it's nice and warm and cozy in here. And so when we start setting goals, in our minds, and we look around, we look at the bank account, we look at the resources we have access to, we look at all the things that are kind of here that we're comfortable with, known quantities, and we set goals in the context of what we already know. These are achievable. We know we can do this. And kind of embedded in that is, if we pull the covers off, there's no guarantee somebody's going to put them back on, so to speak here. Fear of failure. If we set something out there too big, let's not go too big. What would people think? What if it doesn't work? What if we allocate these resources and it blows up in our face? Oh my God, then what?
Yeah.
Fear of failure. So let's just, it's the distinction between playing not to lose and playing to win.
Oh my goodness.
And most businesses, what we find in the work that we do with the clients with whom we work, there's a lot of playing not to lose that's going on, and it's all organized around setting achievable goals. And they know they're achievable on the front end. So this is, when you're thinking about how you actually create inspiration in your business, you don't do it with achievable goals.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. You might be able to get some motivation in there with some sales perks or whatever it might be, but it's not the same as inspiration. Inspiration is sustainable. Motivation is not, and motivation comes with achievable goals.
Right. Yeah. I love that, because you hook it into number 3, right? You avoid the reality of trade-offs and opportunity costs while pursuing conflicting goals, which is focus, clarity. There's other things that come into that point. And as we talk about 2 and 3, and as you were talking, what comes to my mind, Blaine, is the whole thing on buts.
Mm-hmm.
But so what are we gonna do? We're gonna set a goal to go 5 rather than 10%. We're gonna go 100%. Yeah, but we've tried that before. And Andy, he's buried in the parking lot. Matter of fact, we had to pave over Andy, so he's out there somewhere. Poor Andy.
Poor Andy.
Poor Andy. That one, he works for Winona Ryder, by the way, in case anybody wants to know. But it is that when you're considering these goals, and leaders have a tendency that we forget about the trade-offs. We can and the opportunity costs. And again, I would recommend go back to our power review on decision making. Go spend some time inside of that where we talk about opportunity costs. And the last part of this is really important, which hooks into that number 4, which is pursuing conflicting goals.
Yeah. And they end up bifurcating. Basically, energy gets diffused.
Well, that's
energy
good.
Gets diffused. Energy follows attention. And if you've got conflicting goals, you've got scattered energy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that gets interesting about this, when we've got this, avoiding the reality of trade-offs and opportunity, you want to be able to recognize these things, because if you've got impossible goals, and I'll just use this, unattainable goals, impossible goals, at least in people's minds, all of a sudden you're now faced with what we're doing. And this is the whole idea of sunk costs. Well, we've been doing this forever. We've got so much money invested in it. We can't not do this anymore. Yeah, we can. If it's not going to serve that goal, let's cut bait reconfigure the hook and go out and see what we can catch over here.
That's so important, because when you talk about sunk cost, and leaders forget about sunk cost is people, time, and money. There's 3 domains of cost in your organization. You got sunk costs in people, you got sunk costs in time, and you got sunk costs in and if you've I've trained my people, all know, they know how to, I got to teach them new stuff. Or we've already put a lot of time in on this idea. I'm not going to put in new time. And we've already spent all our money. We've got all those sunk costs, and it's an easy, leads right to that tattoo. Yeah, but.
So these mistakes, these are, basically their background chatter, but I probably wouldn't be surprised if you look around your organization. You can identify managers in your organization, leaders in your organization that are doing this right now. Yeah. One or all of these in some way, shape, or form. And how do you know that that's happening? It's because there's symptoms that kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
Fuzzy or non-inspiring. We mentioned this, non-inspirational. There's a huge difference. And, go back in some of the earlier power review programs that we've done and you can find them on this, URL down at the bottom. But we talk about the distinction between motivation and inspiration. Inspiration is sustainable. Motivation isn't. Inspiration happens when you tap into something that is life affirming, that wants to be expressed as fully and as magically and as fulsomely as it possibly can. So if you've got fuzzy or non-inspiring destination, which translates into fuzzy and non-inspiring goals, people are continuously trying to figure out what's up, what's it all about, Alfie? Let's go that right. No, let's go this way. And you get your teams optimizing for what they're doing in a vacuum. They're doing it project-based. Instead of how does this project actually feed into, support this global, major, inspirational, for the sake of what that we're trying to make happen out here, this big thing that we think is impossible, but by God, we're going to do it.
And leaders, as you look at this, look for these. We gave you the 4 mistakes. We started with 4 mistakes, which is a new shift in the powers of you. So what we see, this is what we see happening all the time. The symptoms, look inside of your team, look for these, because they're going to be indicators of mistakes you're unaware of that you may have committed or are being committed by other people in your team. So think about trying to win everywhere. And it goes back to having those misaligned goals, custom one-off deals, which are going to create all of the stuff, messy delivery, your margins. Matter of fact, it's probably a little correct the way I put this in here. Your margins aren't going to be flat. Your margin is going to go down because your costs are going to go up. We talk about people, time, and money. So you're probably going to see margin erosion. What the hell happened to my profit? What happened there? What went on? And that's an indicator of trying to win in too many places. And your retention is going to vary wildly. And retention is, there's 3 edges to that sword. The first edge to that sword is your clients. Your client retention is going to go down because they're unclear. They don't know who you are. You're trying to do too many things. Do you do chicken or hamburgers? Do you do chicken and hamburgers? Do you do pizza? So make sure that you're focused on that. So that first edge of the sword is clients. The second edge is your team. Your team without clarity, they're going to become discouraged and they're going to check out. And the last part is your vendors. Your vendors who provide the tools and services to you that you need to run your business, because you're going to need vendors for something, aren't going to be able to support you in the manner in which you need to be supported. So your retention is going to vary widely by segment. And that's the 3 segments: clients, internal team, and your vendors. And that in turn is going to cause you to drop your margins, drop your profits.
And a good chunk of this comes out of the fact because people don't know who they are, don't know who we are, as an organization. There's identity mismatches. Who's in charge here? So roles and responsibilities begin to become either not clear or they become rigid bottlenecks because people, this is the political nature of every organization. and it has to do with the accumulation of power for the sake of having power. That kind of comes into play with this. Which is, the calendar is packed with status and operational. I got my fingers in it. I'm in the weeds. I am a solution looking for a problem, and that's what you find.
Look at me, I'm busy.
I'm busy here. Yeah.
Have you seen my calendar? Yeah.
and I was working with a client the other day where, I did a 360 with their organization, and at every level, above, laterally, the peer group and the people that were reporting up and in, need his eyes on it. Need his eyes on it. He can't, we can't move until we got the check mark. Got the sign off.
Sure.
You talk about slowing things down. You talk about people not being creative, innovative, or being willing to take risks. All of that starts to come into play because they don't see themselves as players in the organization. There's an identity mismatch. You are a player. You are a contributor. You are so important to the success of this organization, whoever the you is that I'm addressing right now, whether it's the formal leader or somebody right on the assembly line. You make a difference. But if they don't feel as if they have permission to make that difference, there's an identity mismatch. You're a player. No, I'm not. You're a leader. No, I'm not.
Right. Exactly. I love that. You think, yes, you are. No, I don't want to sign up to be a leader.
Are you causing movement? Well, I don't know. Well, yes, you are. It may be.
You kind of might be a leader.
You kind of might be a leader. If people are moving away from you, you're still a leader. If they're moving towards you and with you, you're still a leader. You're causing movement.
That's what is it in the blue collar comedy tour? It's like one of the comedians. Yeah, here's your sign. So there you go. Here's your sign right there. And last one is the no stop doing rules. And without getting into all the acronyms and OKRs and CAC and lifetime value and all of that stuff. But if the key thing is, look, when that very top 3 words, 12 top initiatives, you're doing too much. Yep. When you go out through the organization, what are we focused on? Oh, have I shown you my list? I've got 25 things on my list. And because I've got 25 things, I'm going to be constantly I'm going to be switching. And I can't ever get through anything in any reasonable period of time. So my acquisition costs goes down, my client acquisition costs, my lifetime value drops, which is client retention. We talked a little before about the 3 edges of the sword, right? Clients, internal people, and your vendors. And it lives inside of that no stop doing rules, which is focus. And it goes back to explicitity. Oh, I love that word. I'm gonna claim that one. Explicitity on your goals. It's that if I don't know what I'm focusing on, I'm going to make up my own story. Because as a member of the team, I must have value. And in order to have value, I must create things to do. And things to do is 12 top initiatives on my list, which I'll never be able to accomplish.
And they don't have a linking thread that runs through them. They become projects in and of themselves, and there is little recognition, if any recognition, about how they actually facilitate and support a larger objective. It's just now a project, and we're gonna just do what we need to do here. So what does all of this have to do with scaling? It has everything to do with scaling. You can't grow effectively if you've got these symptoms, kind of cropping up, day in and day out.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to grow effectively.
Yeah. You can't build.
You may be able to grow in some areas, but it's going to be counteracted and countermanded by shrinkage in another area or confusion in another area and diversion of resources. So
absolutely.
Yeah. You end up being, thinking you're moving, but you're actually dead in the water.
Yeah. And just to cut to it will happen.
It will happen. It can't not. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Organizations are complex.
It will happen. Yeah. So I love this quote. The heart of a strategy is the answer to 2 fundamental questions. Where will you play? And how will you win there?
Yep. Starting with, where will you play?
Boy,
Yeah.
when we even going back to that number one, Blaine, around being explicit with your goal. Where will you play? Who are you? Be explicit. Who are you? And there's way more to it, but I love this form. Procter and Gamble's not a bad company to be former CEO of. Just a little tiny company, little tiny. But it's, where will you play? What is that focus? What market are you going to play in? And what is it that you're going to be there with? And because that creates identity for your organization, which we're going to get into another aspect of that in Worthy Ideal. But and then how do you win there?
And that's a question of differentiation, because there's going to be other players in that space.
Oh boy.
So how do you differentiate your value proposition? Not what you sell, but the value you bring through what you sell, whether it's a service or a product.
Yeah.
What's the differentiator?
Yeah. That's really important to leaders. As you're listening to that, I want to go back and lean in on what Blaine was talking about. It is the value. We are a value-based species. We love value and we love experience. If our experience is good and above our expectations, what do? We generally go do it again.
Yep.
If our experience is below our expectations, what do? We broadcast how much it sucked and we help 10 other people not go there.
Yep. That's where the net promoter scores comes in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
Net promoter power you right there. Net promoter score.
We can do a whole one on that one for sure.
I know. But that's so true. And when you think about it, I was thinking about this, Blaine, about where, how will you win there? There are let's think of the company Yelp. And the whole purpose behind Yelp is to encourage. There was a statistic, and I meant to look it up this week just to get a current number, Blaine, around the number of positive posts on Yelp compared to the number of negative posts on Yelp. And I would put money on it. I don't remember the numbers, but it is diametrically opposed with the number of good ones compared to the number of bad ones.
Yeah.
Because of the experience and the value. If I didn't have that perceived value, how will I win? What value do I bring? What experience do I create? If I'm not playing with you, and you have to answer those two questions. So if you're working on strategy, all that stuff for next year, which you got to do, you got to answer these two questions. Ask your team, where do we play? How do we win?
Yep.
And watch their faces.
Yep.
Because they want you to tell them. And this is a new slide.
Yes, it is. This is a new way of putting it, and I like this a lot. And just kind of picking up on that last piece, they will tell you if you ask them questions. That's what leadership actually is about. It's not about being directive. It's about tapping into people's innate intelligence and then channeling that.
Yeah.
Channeling that towards something. So the way we define leadership, influencing others, command and control doesn't come into play here. It is literally, it's an influencing piece. How are you being? How do you show up such that people kind of go, I'm in. Can I come play with you? And then, you look at it through the lens of, we're in this together. I'm not going to do this by myself. You and I need to be working in collaboration to make this happen. Is this important to you or not? That's the co-creation question.
Yeah.
Why does this matter to you? And then when you start looking at going beyond just a 10% increase, which everybody knows how to do, you start looking at, okay, let's do a 10x, not a 10%, but a 10x. We have no idea how to do that. That's unknown territory. How are we going to coordinate ourselves as we go into unknown territory? Because what got us here isn't going to get us there. And we will step on each other's toes, guaranteed. We will make mistakes, guaranteed. People will have diverging opinions, guaranteed. How do you channel that conflict so that it becomes a resource? Now, most people don't think of conflict as a resource. Conflict actually can be a resource for excelling in an organization, as long as it's in pursuit of this worthy ideal. That's where that's the piece that turns this entire definition on its head and says, this is where the power is. It lives in that worthy ideal.
Yeah. I love that. Because you touched on at the beginning that leaders cause movement. One of the things that to only strike up with the leaders, and you just said it, and it's really important, is that you want conflict. We develop relationships with our job. I love Blaine has an analogy every then about having a relationship with his chair. I'm not sure what that means, but he has a relationship with his chair. I have one.
I like my chair.
I do too. And mine's molded in particular ways that suit the way some things work in the bottom. Am I doing this correct? Is that the right hand motion? Anyway, but it's very important, because as you're thinking about that, your job is to create change. Right? That's the role of the leader. Whether you are a founder, CEO, VP, director, team leader, manager, you cause movement. You're moving something, and moving causes change, which causes conflict, because we have a relationship with what we do. And you must be linked to that worthy ideal. The worthy ideal is not the goal. It's not your objectives. It is that question of what matters. And what matters to that individual, to that person, and what that alignment is to that direction that you're going. Because goals and objectives are going to live in every company. They have to. You have to have them, right? Otherwise, Drucker will rise up and come visit you in your sleep. There's a whole book, right? We could write a whole book about Peter Drucker showing up in the middle of the night. But that worthy ideal, then, and you touched on this earlier, Blaine, around inspiration. That worthy ideal is that hook to inspiration. Yep. What makes me get up in the morning and go, man, I can't wait to get back there.
So when you think about this in the context of scaling, and this is the moonshot question. So moonshots involve identifying and declaring, literally a declaration of this thing that we are going to have, do, or be, that is so out of people's frame of reference. They go, that's impossible. I mean, this is literally what happened in 1962 when Kennedy said we're going to be on the moon at the end of the decade.
Right,
that's the moonshot analogy. I had no clue how we were going to do it. And he agonized about whether he was ever going to make that declaration. There was all kinds of stuff going on. But what's interesting about this in the context of a worthy ideal and in the context of scaling, you can't tell people why it's important. Now you can frame it. You can make the business case for it.
Sure.
But then in order to actually give it legs, and this is where inspiration comes in, you have to begin to ask people, and this is where the co-creation comes in. Why does this matter to you? If we achieve that, what would you get to have, do, or be that you wouldn't get to have, do, or be unless we were on this path? No guarantees we're going to get it. But if we're going in this direction, what does it make possible for you that you get out of bed in the morning salivating because you can't not go there?
Right.
Yeah. That's what we're looking for here. That's what that kind of scaling involves.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's one thing I was thinking about. And I actually told a client this week, we were working on worthy ideal stuff, Blaine. And one of the things that we were talking about is I think there's a domain in this too. There's the domain of what gets me out of bed. But there's that domain of when you go home at the end of the day and your significant other says, how was your day?
Yeah.
The answer is going to vary widely based on inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
My day sucked. I spent my whole day firefighting. And then some guy named Blaine showed up and took my matches. What the hell? So leadership, the leadership definition, and we take this everywhere. Every power of you hear us talk about this. But I put it on one slide. So if you grab this page, grab that slide and print it and put it in your notebook so that you remember that here's when you think about being a leader, this is what a leader is and what a worthy ideal is. One stop. Boom.
And when you're scaling, and I love this, when we put the slide set together, Doland sent me the slide set. We take turns putting these decks together.
Yeah.
And he had one word on there, Kabir. Now I was going, Kabir. I heard that now. I got well, Wikipedia, where are you? Oh, that's where I heard his name.
Very esoteric.
1400, Indian saint and mystic.
I could have put Epictetus on there, but I didn't. Epictetus, or it depends on how you pronounce it. Epictetus or Epictetus, anyway.
No, we're going broad and wide today here.
stoic.
Indian,
but I thought,
Indian
you know what?
fakir, Indian mystic.
I deliberately went to go find. That's why I only put Kabir on there. I deliberately went to find an esoteric quote, but I love this statement. And leaders, go look up Kabir. It's a fascinating read. I hadn't thought of Kabir in decades.
Oh, I hadn't either. It's kind of I know that name.
Why do I know Kabir? Why do I know? So, but wherever you are is the entry point.
Yep. You do not have to have your ducks lined up in a row in order to scale.
No, wherever you are is the place to start. That is where you enter.
And once you begin, this is growth, goals, alignment, and leadership. These four things come together in some very interesting ways. You know, when you're baking a cake, I've always loved this analogy. I mean, my mom was an incredible cook, and she loved to bake, and she never had a cookbook, out on the table or anything. She would just, it needs a little bit more of that. Needs a little bit more of that. And I mean, that's kind of how I'm a pretty good cook. I mean, but it's all by taste. It's all by taste. So the ingredients that you put in make a difference. And if you alter one, changes the flavor profile.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing with growth, goal, alignment, and leadership is you're testing for flavor profile would be one way to think about this.
Yeah. And this is the reason, and I'll apologize to everybody watching this. There's a lot of words on this slide. We're not going to read all these words to you. You can read all the words, but you'll hear us talk about growth. These are the components of growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Growth's the inner work. Goals give direction. Alignment is that. You can see the word grow in that sentence in there. Alignment is the power, because without alignment, you can't, it's kind of like take your hands and go like this and try to create friction.
Yeah.
Take your hands and go like this and try to create friction, and it works.
Yep.
So without alignment, you can't get to that. And then, of course, leadership. We talked about leadership and the effectiveness of leadership.
Yeah, we talk about leadership all the time.
Yeah.
This growl term, I actually coined that. This came off of some work that a dear friend of both of ours, Bob Proctor.
It is trademark, by the way.
Yeah, it is trademarked.
Don't take
this and run with it. You need permission. But Bob used to talk about goal setting. Bob Proctor used to talk about
goal setting. God.
And he would talk about A goals and B goals. And A goals are, I can do this in my sleep. A B goal, I'm going to have to get something, but I've got a pretty good sense of how this is going to be done. It's doable. No question in my mind. Yeah. Then he had this thing called a C goal, and he would make this distinction. He said the purpose of a goal is not to get. Most people get confused about that.
Right.
It's not to get. Now you get something by having a goal and achieving it. You get something, but the true purpose of a goal, and this is where he got really, 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 really. I'll be Bob Proctor. Really, yeah. He drops it in. The purpose of a goal, a true goal, is to grow. Yeah. And if you're not growing through the process of setting your goals, don't waste the energy. This is what we're looking at with scaling. You want to be setting what we're now calling, he called it a C goal. We call it a growal. It's a growal. It's a goal that grows us, and it grows us in a very fundamental way. Puts us at places we've never been before. And that's what, when we look at this, when you get the whole team aligned behind this, growls have power. And if you're looking to scale your organization, truly scale it in a 10X moonshot sort of a scenario, you have to have a growal structure that allows people to set their teeth into it, to set their hearts into it, and devote their entire energy to it. And what you'll find happening is all the extraneous stuff starts to fall away because the focus is so singular.
Now, leaders, I'm gonna pause this just for a moment, and I'm gonna put a shameless plug in here. Grow, when you think about it, and glad you brought Bob into the picture. Miss our Bob.
Yes.
But when we talk about growth, that's a new concept, because as a leader, you're probably thinking, I'll put dollars to donuts on it, that you're thinking, I'm going to get from here to here, and that's a get. I'm here and I'm going to get that, and that's a goal, or that's my goal. Goal is different. What is the growth that goes through that? Yeah. The first time you try to put that together, you aren't going to get it right.
Yep.
You're going to get it wrong. So I want to make a standing invitation. Reach out to us on LinkedIn, ping us, and go, hey, I want to talk to you about goals, and we'll get on with you. We'll spend a few minutes talking about goals. That's really important as you're planning for 2026.
Yeah, and notice embedded in what Doland is just saying here is the mindset shift.
Yes.
The purpose of a goal is to grow. So when you have a goal, it's not about getting that outcome. It's about the growth that takes place as you move towards that outcome. That's what scaling ultimately is about, is growing your business, developing new skills, aptitudes, capacities. All of that knowledge, all of that stuff comes as a consequence of setting this goal out there that may or may not be attained. There's no guarantee. But all of a sudden you start developing stuff that you never imagined you could do.
Yeah.
Which sets the stage for the next scenario.
Yep. So I just volunteered us to help people. Anyway, so the growth mindset, which you just touched on. I think we've touched on this. Growth without meaningful, inspiring goals is chaos. Goals without alignment are noise. Alignment without leadership is stagnation, because you're in a pond that's turning green. Leadership without growth is ego. I love that sentence.
Yep.
That leadership without growth is ego. And Grohl is designed to integrate those things together into a different way of thinking about goals.
Yep.
How you make them sustainable, meaningful, and leadership elegant. We talk a lot about elegance from a leadership perspective. So that's the mindset that lives behind Grohl, which is trademarked, by the way. I'll point that out.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. Now, again, leaders, I'm going to apologize because we're way into this, but there's a lot of words on all these slides, so we'll probably go pretty quick through some of it, and I don't think we need to read all the slides to you. But one of the things that when we talk about mindset and frame are very, very close. We can change that mindset and practice, right? Frame defined, not present limited. You make decisions from the future back. You need to start from thinking about where you're going to be and come back. You see the gap between today and the vision as creative tension. So, and there's some hints in here, right? Instead of asking, what can we do with what we have? Ask, what would our 10X version do? Not who am I today? Think from where you're going to be tomorrow. So when you're in this practice of thinking of scaling, think from the end point. And a lot of businesses tend to think from, what do I need to do to hit that hockey stick? What do I need to do to be there? That's not think from there. Don't think from today.
Yep. Because when you start thinking about what do I need to do, you're referencing your past and your current situation.
Yep.
The idea of, and we had this on one of the very first slides here. What's the space I want to play in? And what do I need to do to win?
Yeah.
Which is really a question of beingness. How do we need to be? Right. How do we need to be if we're going to win in this space? When you start thinking about, and again, I want to take the notion of getting something off the table here. This is all about growth. So if we go back and just use the moonshot analogy, literal moonshot analogy, if we had not made it to the moon, that would have been disappointing, that sort of stuff. But what happened in the process between 62 and 69, that 7-year span, we developed technologies, we developed expertise, we developed information, we developed a knowledge base that would never have been developed had we not embarked on that journey. And if we hit the target or not, that's going to be whatever it is. But now we have something tangible here that we never had 7 years before, that we can leverage in a way that we've never thought of leveraging before. Now, we were leveraging it in obviously in pursuit of landing on the moon and getting back safely. There were two pieces to that we didn't want to ignore. get there and get back.
Yeah.
But it creates clarity over comfort. I mean, you can't be comfortable with this. You can't be comfortable with this. You're obsessed with clarity, and clarity around that for the sake of what? What matters? What matters? That's what we're looking at here.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very tightly coupled. Matter of fact, you can't do either without the other.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe it's an Alabama marriage. I'm not sure, but you can't do either. So this one, identity before strategy. Believe who they're becoming matters more than what you're doing. So as we think, and this is as we talk about grow, and you touched on it, Blaine, about growing, and I always mix these words of have, do, be, or be, do, have to be. So get them in the right sequence.
Doobie doobie doo.
Doobie doobie doo. Anyway, but it's very important, right? As you think about that, about the identity, who are we becoming? Becoming matters as we're moving towards that outcome, that goal, because it is tied to the for the sake of what? This hooks back to the previous slide. And with that in place, you shift, right? And I love this kind of the last thing, which is you shift from an operator and you shift from an architect to a creator of creators.
Yep. And
go back to the definition of leadership. Co-create, coordinated movement, influencing others to co-create
coordinated movement
in pursuit of a worthy ideal. I've been talking since 5:30 this morning. So there you go. But you become that creator of creators, which is a shift. And as a leader, that's who we are. We're creator of creators.
Yep. And that frame, and a couple of things. Yeah, that frame literally is, how do I say this? You have to believe that everybody in your organization is a leader in order to adopt that creator of creators notion. Everybody's causing movement all the time. Yeah. Not everybody's effective. As a matter of fact, most people aren't effective at causing the kind of movement that we need to get the result that we say that we want. When we start setting this 10x, impossible, thing out there that we're scaling towards, people are going to be causing movement through their actions, their behaviors, their thought processes, everything. And what you're going to find yourself wanting to do and getting your people, and this is the creator of creators piece, you want to architect this into your culture, is how do you say no to what is superfluous and not appropriate any longer? We used to do that. That made us money. We're going to kill that puppy because now we're going to be, it's not because you're closed-minded. It's because you're committed. You're committed to that outcome. Nothing else matters. We're going to develop who we need to be and what we need to know in order to do what we need to do to have that be realized.
Right. That's an art. But it's funny. I had a long conversation working with a relatively new CEO in an organization, and we were talking, and she's brilliant. We were talking about that framework and that structure to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And in a decision process, we ended up boiling it down to 4 steps and calling it an incubator. Let's create an incubator and to incubate the ideas. So you know when to say yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
But it is that ability, and leaders, it's one of the things that we're hardwired for it. I may be speaking out of turn, but we're hardwired to be liked, and we're hardwired to say yes.
Yep. Fitting in. It's all about fitting in.
Yeah, we're trying. Yes, that whole tribal. Yep. Where do I fit? And so this piece to be able to filter decisions to say no, and maybe not no more than yes, but to know when it is the right no is probably a better way to say it.
Yeah.
And if you master that as a leader, and you're going to be imperfect at it, I'm imperfect at it. I say yes to things I shouldn't. My wife reminds me of that periodically. Why are you doing that? I don't know. I said, yes.
I don't know, because he asked me.
You seem right. I don't know. Blaine said, call him. So I did. So there you go. So well, enough on this one, but that's really, really, really important. And again, you're going to get it wrong, but if you need help, let us know. We'll help.
Let us know. So Who's executing on this frame? Yeah, it's the leader. And I don't mean just the person that's got the title.
No,
everybody's a leader. Everybody's a leader. You want to have people seeing things through that lens of we're already here. It just hasn't happened yet. That future state, we're already here. And we speak with clarity about that. This is how we would be behaving. This is how we are behaving because this is a reality today.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not making it up as we go along. We are here today. This is how we behave. And that will require discipline because you're going to look around and they're going to look around and go, yeah, but. Yeah, but the tattoo.
Yeah, but. Okay. I'm going to get a sign on my shelf right up there, right next.
Yeah.
As soon as I get a forklift toy, I'm going to say, yeah, but.
I love this. Yeah. Basically, you end up embodying, and this is what leaders do anyway. This is the influencing piece of that leadership definition. You influence others by how you show up. You embody a quiet confidence that says the game is already won. We're already here. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. That's the frame in practice. How do you behave as if that reality were already here? How do you speak as if that were reality were already here? How do you think? I mean, all of those attributes happen now because this is the only time we really have is now. There is no future. There is no past. There's just now. So I behave today as if that future state was already realized. That 10x moonshot goal was already realized. I look around and go, yeah, but. And go, no, but.
No.
I see that I need to do something here. Okay, let's do something with intentionality.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Love that.
How do you scale? You scale by recognizing that you have power. Each of us has power. Each of us has power. And you're looking to do this as a goal. 10x, whatever it is that you think is possible. You want to be setting impossible, quote unquote, impossible goals. You don't want to set achievable goals. Achievable goals are boring.
Yeah.
Got no juice. No juice. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah. I think the challenge always reminds me of my, being the grandson of a redneck and a redneck myself. My grandpa would always call them coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Your grandpa knew my grandpa.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Yeah, I think we were separated at birth on a lot of this stuff.
I think so too.
Coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And it is that same thing, I think, leaders, as you're working with your goals and you're thinking about, and think from the frame of goal. And the offer stands. Look, it's critically important as you're working through your plans and your strategies for 2026. But if you have questions or if there's things you want to know or different ideas, just ping us on LinkedIn and we'll set up a time. We'll chat for a little bit. No obligation, just have a chat. But it is that moment where if you are not thinking in that term of that moonshot, that 10x, then you will end somewhere in that path with a coulda, shoulda, woulda. We could have done more. We could have.
So today was the first in a series of 3 on this scaling conversation. How do you scale your organization? And essentially what we've been looking at today is how do you frame it? And we're framing it as a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an objective out here that is by design going to grow us in ways we've never experienced before. We may or may not get there, but there being the goal that we're talking about. But we're going to learn. We're going to grow in the process. And that's where that's where the gold is. That's really where the gold is. You will find yourself transforming your organization, your culture, and the way that the market is actually appreciating you. How do people feel about themselves when they're in your presence? That's what you're looking at here. Do they feel empowered, enlightened? Do they feel like they can't not buy? All of that stuff happens when you decide real clearly, where do you want to play? And how do we win here?
There you go. There you go.
So
that was good.
Ta-da! We are rapidly approaching, I think, almost 50 of these. Is that right? I can't know. That
gotta be. I haven't looked for a bit. Gotta be.
It's been a while. I mean, we're 30 or 40, we're past 30. I think these being these little power review conversations that Dolan and I host every Thursday at noon Pacific time. We've got a curated library of all of them. These will go up and they'll be live for about a day or so on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, the regular culprits.
Yeah.
But then they disappear. They go away. But they don't go away. Yeah. We're hosting a platform and it's a curated library, the Power Review library. Everything that we've done here is available on that library. It's lifetime, nominal. It's a nominal fee. We're not interested in, this being a profit center at all, but it does require some curating and some upkeep. So very, very manageable fee on it. It's lifetime access to the entire library. The library is going to be growing. It will continue to be growing. Like I said, we've got at least 40 up, probably more than that now, of these shows up there. So take advantage of it. That URL that you see creeping across the bottom of the screen is where you go. And to gain access, just click on it and you'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, I had to do the math just on that. Go to the link, check the link out. It averages, it's like $4 an episode.
Yeah, and it's going down all the time.
We got to raise our rate. I don't know what the hell. So there you go.
I think it's down to about about $3. It's cheap. It's cheap.
I can't go to Taco Bell.
It's inexpensive.
Inexpensive.
It's inexpensive.
That's right. I may be cheap, but I'm not free.
I'm not free, by golly.
On that note, scaling next week, second episode on scaling. Come back for that episode. Watch this again. If you watch it once, watch it twice. Think about roll. Remember our offer. Ping us on LinkedIn. We're happy to have a conversation with you. Next week, we'll see you for episode number 2 in scaling. I'm excited for this. Is really important. So
thanks for listening, folks. Set yourself up for next year. Yeah. Tune in next week.
Oh, yeah. Please.
Take care.
All right. See ya.
We're out of here.